Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's live stream. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but I'm so glad that you all are here. I see everyone in the comments. I'm super excited to join you and craft together, but as always, technology had to fail me for a little bit there, but thank you for hanging in and waiting for me. It's going to be a really fun night together. I gotta say, there's a lot to update you guys on tonight. I have to show you a brand new kit. I also want to go over a couple little updates and share a really great sale with you as well. Now I have to say, yesterday I was supposed to join the scrapbook.com live stream in the live chat. They just announced SPCFest and I am participating. I'm so excited. It's going to be later this year in September, and it's always so much fun because SPCFest is completely free. It's a day full of education with tons of amazing, talented creators, and you get all of it for free. However, you can also purchase the kits for SPCFest, which are at a much reduced price, and then you can craft along with the identical products that we're using. So either you use your supplies at home, or you can purchase the kits and craft along to create the exact things that we're creating as well. Now, while all of you guys were catching up on scrapbook.com's live stream yesterday, I was at the dentist. Very unfortunate. It was the worst. You know, I have a little bit of a caveat about the dentist that I just need to get off my chest before we get started. They always go in with their little scrapey tool and scrape your teeth and gums for like 30 minutes straight, and then have the audacity at the end of it all to be like, your gums are bleeding. You might need to floss more. What do you mean? My gums are bleeding because you just scraped them for 30 minutes straight. So that's what I was dealing with while you guys were enjoying scrapbook.com's live stream yesterday. But I'm glad you guys got to see my kit from them. And then today I'm gonna walk you through it as well. And we're going to craft together using the kit as well, creating completely separate projects than what I'm going to create in SPCFest. So I'm going to give you some inspiration right now, and then you'll get even more inspiration when the class actually launches later in September. All right, so let's turn on my work surface. Let's jump in. I'm going to show you the kit. I'll walk you through a couple extra pieces you can also add on, and then we'll talk about the sale as well. Let's jump in. Okay, so for the kit, I don't have everything in beautiful packaging right now, but I've got it all laid out here so you can at least see it. This is the embossing folder that comes inside of the kit. This embossing folder is 8 3/4 inches by 3 inches. So this is going to fit perfectly in the Scout. I love this folder because it's got a really great border. So it's halfway across the card and it creates a really great 3D embossed look. And this is called Painted Blooms. These are gorgeous and they give such a detailed effect throughout your card. I'm gonna be honest, when my Spellbinders team created this embossing folder, I wanted to keep it for my own product line. That's how much I love this kit. I think we really outdid it. That's why in the title I wrote the best card making kit ever. I'm totally not biased at all, right? But this is one of my favorite things we've created. So we have this embossing folder, and then with the embossing folder inside of the kit, there's also a die included. Now you're gonna find this die alongside the butterfly die set. It's gonna be inside of this, but I'll show you how to use this die to cut right along the edge of the folder and give it a really great smooth cut edge alongside the embossing, which is super fun. Okay, then we have the stencils. So there's a stencil set that comes along with it as well. And these stencils are going to color in the florals and leaves perfectly. So you get 4 different stencils inside of the kit. And then let's talk about mediums. I am so excited about these mediums. I think that Ranger really hit it out of the park with this. So let's jump in. So first you have the Pity Party Solar Spray. This just launched. You can always have a little bit more. These are 1-ounce bottles, like the original solar sprays. So you get quite a bit in here. It lasts a long time, but I use these fast. So you guys are gonna love this. It's that perfect lavender color. Absolutely beautiful. Then we have Astro Paste in Slippery and Wet. And we also have Astro Paste in Phoenix Feather. You might be thinking, I've never heard of Phoenix Feather before. That's because it is brand new. We are launching it along with this kit, and this is the only way you can get Phoenix Feather right now. So you can get it in a 1 ounce jar inside of the kit. So usually our Lunar pastes come in 2 ounce jars, but because we wanted to give you 2 colors to try out, we decided to put them in 1 ounce jars so we can give you more variety. So, talking about slippery when wet, let's jump into the swatches. This glitter paste is gorgeous. Once it's completely dry, that goes clear and you see all of that amazing sparkly glitter in there. So slippery when wet is like a really yellowy golden kind of paste. I love it. And then you have Phoenix Feather, completely different and really unique, okay? So this is what Phoenix Feather looks like on white. It's a clear iridescent paste that has kind of a warm glitter inside of it. Here's what it looks like on black. It gives you that kind of warm iridescent shine. And then what's so cool about Phoenix Feather is on inks and through projects, it's going to look completely clear once it's dry, and then you'll just get all of that amazing kind of iridescence. So you still get to see all that amazing color underneath it. So that's really why we created Phoenix Feather, so you can see through it to any ink that you use below. And then I wanted to compare because I know that we have a clear in the line already. So the clear that we have right now is called Frostbite. You're gonna notice the difference. They look similar, but the difference is that these have clear sparkles on it. And this one has clear writing still because it's actually just a clear paste, but it has like orange and yellow sparkles alongside of it. That's what's gonna set this one, Phoenix Feather, apart from Frostbite. Now Frostbite is really just completely clear. So you can see with Frostbite, it almost gives kind of like a snowy or icy look, but it doesn't really glitter or sparkle. It looks just kind of like chunks of ice. So that's the difference between it. Again, you can really see through it, but it's a completely different look than what you're gonna get from Phoenix Feather. I wanna buy like 5 of these kits just so I get a million Phoenix Feathers right now. And then of course, Phoenix Feather will be launching later this year, so don't worry about it too much. We'll launch it later, kind of during winter time during this year. But to get it right now, you have to get the Phoenix Feather along in the kit. We figured if you were getting the kit, we want to give you something especially special along with it. And not to mention, all the rest of these products, except for the Pity Party and the Slippery and Wet, all of these are also exclusive, and these ones are never coming back. So Phoenix Feather we're launching later, but all of these products are exclusive to this kit, and it is not coming back after it sells out. Oh, and I forgot to show you. This is the Pity Party swatches. So Pity Party is a really great spray. It's kind of more subtle on the white, even though you can see it more in person than you see it on here. And then on the black, it's insane. It's that kind of pinkish lavender color that is so gorgeous. I love it. All right, so let's talk about this kit a little bit. So this kit is normally $61. It's a value of $61 inside of here, and we're giving it to you for $39.99, which is amazing. So I have links down below to my SPCFest kit in case you want to pick it up and check it out. And like I said, most of the products in here are exclusive. It's been going pretty fast over the next couple of days. So if you want it, I recommend picking it up so you can craft along with me during SPCFest. And I have all the links down below to find out more about SPCFest, to my kit, and to the next thing I'm gonna show you as well. So let's jump in to the next thing that you can also get along with the SPCFest kit. So this, scrapbook.com put together along with my team at Ranger, and this is a stark white cardstock surface sampler pack. What you get inside of here is 2 sheets of the full 8.5 by 11 stark white cardstock. You also get 4 card panels, and this is, so like not anything folded, just card panels. And then you have 2 top folding card bases and 2 side folding card bases, and those come pre-cut and scored for you too. So it all comes inside of this package. This is a great way to test it out. We've been really hearing from all of you guys that you really wanted to be able to try out the cardstock before you really dive deep into it or before you fully commit to a 10 or a 50 pack. So this is a really great way to do so. It's sampling all of the ways that we sell the cardstock, so you can then go in and if you like it, pick up full sheets, also card panels, and then we also have the pre-cut and scored card bases as well in both ways. So This is going to be perfect for SPCFest too. So if you pick this along up with the kit, there's going to be enough cardstock in here and a little bit extra to create with. So all this cardstock you'll be able to create with during SPCFest. If you want your cards to look exactly like mine with the cardstock, I recommend grabbing this and picking it up. But if you don't want to, you can always use your cardstock at home. I do quickly want to share kind of the difference and the reasoning between why I use Stark White cardstock and how it compares to other cardstocks. So I brought in kind of a large manufacturer of cardstock. This is nothing to do with the crafting industry. This is like something you can get in reams on Amazon. And I wanted to show you how it differs from Stark White cardstock, because in all reality, before I created Stark White cardstock, I was using a big cardstock brand like this where you can get in reams of 250. And I loved it. I thought that it was perfect for what I was doing. I didn't really feel the need to switch at all. And then I started testing out other cardstocks, and I probably tested out 50 before I found Stark White cardstock. And the way they react is very different with inks, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. So with most cardstocks on the market, they kind of have a little bit of a coating on top of the surface of them. And so this other cardstock is really smooth. It doesn't look really shiny. You can't really feel the coating, but compared to Stark White cardstock, you definitely can feel the coating. This is still smooth, but it doesn't feel like glossy almost to the touch. And let me show you what the difference is. It really makes a difference in how it takes the ink in the long run then, okay? So I'm gonna go in with our Stellar ink in the color Prom Queen. You can go in with whatever ink you want, and I'm gonna show you how different this is. So I'm just gonna go in with a sponge foam domed blending tool. I'm gonna tap off to the side, and then I'll go in right onto the surface and blend my ink down. And this looks great, especially when you're first starting to blend it. It looks awesome, it blends really well on the surface there. You can't really tell the difference yet. But then once you start trying to kind of layer up more color, this is where things really show the difference. So I'm gonna really go in here really firm and add tons of ink down to make this as dark as I can. And you're gonna see it gets darker, but then it kind of stops at some point, like it's no longer getting darker no matter how much more ink I apply here, okay? So that's about as dark as the other brand of cardstock is gonna get. And you can tell that area where we blended it is definitely glossy. It's kind of resisting the ink a little bit, but you don't really notice because you still get quite a bit of color on there. But then let's go in with the Stark White cardstock. I'm gonna go in here, ink this up. You can already tell the difference when you first start applying it, just kind of how it feels when you're blending it. I'm not sure if you can see it though. And then we'll blend this down nice and smooth. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll really go in here super hard and try to apply as much ink as we can. So you can see that second layer definitely got darker. This third layer is gonna get even a little bit more dark. And what's really important to me is that you can just layer up this color and get a ton of depth and dimension to it and really, really vibrant colors. Okay, so it doesn't look like much right now. You can already tell a little bit of a difference there, but really the difference comes also when the ink is completely dry on the surface, okay? So here's what they look like when it's dry. And this is not bamboozled. I'm not pulling in something that I did completely different. I can even maybe bring these in after the live is complete and see if they're a little bit different. But the main difference is when the other one dries, it almost like oxidizes over on the surface. It's really weird how it takes the ink and once it's dry. Versus the Stark White cardstock, it stays pretty much the same. It might lighten a little bit, but it stays pretty similar to what it was, but you can really see the difference there. So a lot of times when people are making cards and they're using a piece of cardstock that they didn't really invest in, or it might have a coating on top of the surface and they didn't know, they'll kind of complain to me that they're not getting the same results with the ink. That is the major difference. You want a really good quality ink, but it also matters what you're putting that ink on, and you want the cardstock to be really good quality as well. So I wanted to just spend a little bit of time showing you the difference. That's what's great about this sampler pack too. If you don't believe me, you can see it to believe it in person and grab that sampler pack without fully investing in a full pack of cardstock in case you don't like it. But I assure you, you're probably going to end up loving it. One of the other things that I really like about Stark White cardstock is just the bright whiteness, but it's kind of like a warm white tone. And then also the thickness. You can see how thin this other cardstock is versus the Stark White cardstock is much thicker. So this is great for like card bases and really layering up your card to get a beautiful effect. All right, so let's pull these off to the side. I'll try to show you that later if I remember, but it definitely, once it dries, it does that weird oxidization thing. It's very strange how it goes a ton lighter. All right, now let's get into here and start our actual crafting. I'm super excited to share with you guys this kit. Oh, before we get into it, before you place any orders, I wanted to talk about the sale. So scrapbook.com is also having a sale right now. I'm not sure when the code ends, so I'm not sure if it's still going to be valid in a couple of days if you're watching this on the replay. But if you add anything to your order right now and you use the coupon code SNOW at checkout, you're going to get an extra 11% off your purchase. So that's amazing. You'll get an extra 11% off on top of how discounted that kit already is, which is amazing. Love that. One other update that I found today. I told you there was going to be a lot of updates before we got into crafting because there's been a lot of things going on. Tickled Pink Lunar Paste is back in stock for the time being. I woke up today to a comment saying, thanks for restocking Tickled Pink Lunar Paste. I thought to myself, I don't remember restocking Tickled Pink Lunar Paste. So I reached out to my team. They found like 100 or 150 extra in the warehouse that were kind of sitting around and they needed to do something with them. They shipped them off to scrapbook.com. Scrapbook.com put them up for stock. So there's about 140 or something like that left. So if you guys were one of the people who were DMing me or commenting that you wish this color was still available and you really wanted it but you missed out, now is your chance. I have that linked down below as well to the Tickled Pink Lunar Paste. So check that out too in case you missed on this color. It's an exclusive color that we launched only with scrapbook.com and it's only going to be available until these 100 sell out. So once these sell out, it's not going to be back. So get it while you can. All right. Yes, it's back until the 100 sell out. Then it's not going to be back anymore. So hurry on that one. All right, let's get into crafting now. So let's start off by using the Painted Blooms embossing folder. I really want to show you how amazing this is. So we're going to go in with our Stark White Cardstock sampler pack, and I'm just going to pull out one of the full sheets of my Stark White Cardstock here. All right, and then let's cut this down so that it fits perfectly inside of our embossing folder. So I'm gonna cut this down hot dog style, so the long way across, and I'm gonna cut it down right at 3 inches. And that's gonna fit perfectly into this embossing folder. And then let's see, how long is this design? So the actual design in here is a little over 7 inches. So I'll rotate this. Oh no, it doesn't have the marking on this little guy. Okay, I'm gonna have to get my big trimmer. And go in here and cut this down to a little over 7 inches. All right, perfect. So then we'll set these off to the side. You can get 3 of those out of a full sheet of cardstock. So that's perfect. I'm gonna set this off to the side so we have it. This is also my first time using a microphone that's kind of attached to me. So hopefully it's sounding good. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments. All right. So then we'll grab the die that goes along with this embossing folder because I want to show you how to attach this die inside of here. Again, you'll find this die inside of the Butterflies die set that's inside of the kit. So you're going to open up your 3D embossing folder and you're going to open it to the side that has the printing on it. That's going to face down towards your work surface because this side has that little etched marking in the edge where that die should be placed. Okay? So you'll see that it doesn't have it on the other side. It's just over on this side. You're gonna take this die that comes along in the kit and you're going to place this right along the edge there. And once you kind of press it along that edge, it's gonna lock into place there. So it's not gonna really move around. Once you know you've got it lined up, you can butt it right up against that etched edge. And then I like to just go in here with a little bit of mint tape. We'll rip off 2 little pieces and I'm just gonna go in and tape this guy down. Super easy to do. And you can put it over top of the little blade areas. It's not gonna really matter too much because it'll cut right through the mint tape. So that looks perfect. That's how you're going to attach it. You don't need to use it with the die, but that die is gonna cut out that perfect edge for you. All right. Then we're going to mist our cardstock. So I always find that misting my cardstock with water really helps to mold to 3D embossing folders, especially when they're 3D because they're super deep. If you've struggled with this in the past with your cardstock ripping or cracking, try misting it down with water before you run it through. So I'm just gonna go in here and lightly mist it down, about 2 light mists on either side. And you're gonna notice my cardstock has a little bit of water on it, but it's not like dripping wet or anything. You're just getting it damp enough to mold to that design. So then we'll go into here, place down our cardstock, lay this down, and it lines up perfectly inside of that embossing folder. Now, let's go in with our Platinum Scout Spellbinders die cutting machine. I created this black Scout with Spellbinders. I love this little guy. It is the perfect die cutting machine to just leave on your desk next to you at all times. So to do embossing with a 3D embossing folder, you're gonna take out all of the extra plates and just use the A platform base, place that right inside of your machine. Then you're going to place in the 3D embossing folder, and then you're gonna place in the D adapter plate on top. This is that hard gray plate that comes along with your plate system. Place this right in, and those are the only 2 plates you're gonna use. So you don't need any other plates for this. Then you're going to just run it right through to emboss it. And we'll just stare at each other awkwardly as we run this through Embossing Edition. And we're live. I don't think we've ever done awkward die cutting live. Real awkward. All right, this is gonna be cool. Once you pull this out, this never fails to amaze me. Now with the die, there is kind of little spots that you might have to clip off with just a scissors on either end to release that die super easily. And then check this out, are you ready? You get this beautifully cut border, super awesome. It follows perfectly around the edge of the embossing, and then that really great texture inside of here. I love all the texture that's inside of this folder. It's almost like stepped up in each layer with the flower, and it really gives you so much dimension with the 3D embossing. Like I said, I wanted to keep this one in my permanent product line, so you guys are lucky you're getting this for the Scrapbook.com kit, and especially for that price too. That price is awesome for this amazing 3D embossing folder. All right, so we'll set that folder off to the side. We'll put all of our die cutting plates away, and I'm just gonna set this embossing machine right to the side of me. It fits right here on my desk, so we have it for easy access. That's why I love having the little Scout machine in here with me. All right, now let's go in and just show you how this works with the stencils. So I'm gonna bring in my Altenew sticky mat, going to place this right down onto that sticky mat to hold it in place. And then we'll bring in the layering stencils. Now, there's 4 different stencils inside of this, and each one of the stencils inside of the kit has a little number and little etched corners. The etched corners aren't gonna matter unless if you're using the stencils alone, then you're gonna wanna cut a piece of cardstock down to the size of those etched corners, and it'll line up in the corners of the cardstock. But for this, it's super easy. You just follow the numbers, make sure you can read the number and that it's oriented in the same spot every time. So like, if you can read 2 on the next one, you know you have it lined up perfect. And then we're just gonna go in, and this is really easy to just line up with the design. And I'm gonna need to just look over the cardstock. So you might see my hairs peeking in here, but I just need to look over to make sure I can line it up with my design, and then place it down into that sticky mat to hold it in place while we do our stenciling. Super easy, and I love these sticky mats because they hold things down really nicely. Okay, so let's go in, and I'm gonna do some detailed coloring with this. So I'm gonna actually go in with some of these little mini blending brushes from Altenew. I'm gonna use these to do our coloring. And then I'm gonna go in with some colors of my celery ink. So I'm starting off with a little bit of 100% juice. And for this outermost layer, we want the darkest color. So I'm gonna go in with 100% juice, and I'm gonna bring it on these sideway blooms. So for this, I'm bringing it, and with these little detail blending tools, I'm gonna add my own shading. So I'm gonna go in and make a pretty dark blend, and then I'm gonna bring it a little bit darker right towards kind of the center and bottom area of the floral. So we'll go in here, again, go in pretty dark, and blend that in. And we're doing it on all 3 of these blooms. So if you want to, you can go all into all of the flowers and blend them out, but I want these florals to be different than the colors of the blooms here. So I'm gonna show you how to use these little blending brushes. Otherwise I'd go in with my larger Simon Hurley blending brushes for this. And then let's do a little bit of bee sting for the other floral. So it'll give you a nice red looking flower. And again, we want the darkest color in the center, and then we'll shade it out a little bit lighter around the edge. And that is looking gorgeous. All right, I'm loving this so far. How stunning is that? And now before we do anything further here, I want to go in. Actually, I'll do that at the end. I'll show you how to really step that up at the end, but let's just stick with doing the simple blending first. I have been loving Stellar ink as well. That foam pad just makes it so easy to get all of this gorgeous color down super quick. All right. Now, one thing to point out, which I really love that the Spellbinders team did with this stencil, is that the inside of these florals are covered. So you're not coloring in the whole floral at once. Each layer is separate. That leaves these white so that it makes it so that with the second layer, you can use whatever color you want. So if you wanted to go in with yellow on top of that purple, you totally could, because you're not blending the yellow on top of the purple, it's just going on top of the white. So I really love that they did that with this. And I'm gonna go in and line this up. Place it down. There we go. And then for this layer, I'm gonna use a little bit of Prom Queen right on top of the red floral. Really easily go in there and blend this out. And you know what? I'll actually go in with pink on top of the purple too. I think that's gonna be a beautiful color combination all together here. I love that. And then, let's say last but not least, we're gonna go in with the next layer. So I'm actually going to skip the third layer because that's all leaves. We'll do that last. And I'm gonna go in with the fourth layer next, which has these stems. So we'll line them up, but it also has the inside of all the flowers. And so for the inside of the flowers, we're gonna go in with a little bit of yellow shooting star from the Stellar inks. And just be careful because there's also the stems on this same stencil. So we put those on the same stencil just to make the price not too rough. So anytime that we can, we put little things together like this if we think that it's not gonna be too difficult. And then we'll go in with a little bit of Later Gator and blend in the stems super easily. And again, just avoid the areas of the middle of these flowers. I love this. Yep, Shooting Star. Isn't that a beautiful yellow color? I love it. One of my favorites. And this green is nice and bright, so Later Gator is gonna be kind of your bright Kelly green. And then I also wanna go in and bring in a little bit of 4 too. I like to just kind of mix up my greens, and this one's a little bit more earthy, and I'll just add it here and there on the project. But adding an earthy green like this in with that kind of makes it look more like nature, because you'd find a bunch of different greens out in plants. So it gives it that really beautiful look. And then for these leaves, we're gonna go in with stencil number 3 to finish it off. You can go out of the order like I did. It doesn't really matter as long as you do them all. And then we'll place that down after lining it up. And we'll go in this time with our large Stellar ink blending brush and blend it in. Yeah, Linda says she couldn't really see what this looked like online, so she's really glad for this video and that it's super helpful. Thanks, Linda. Yeah, that was kind of the goal today, to really just kind of give you guys a peek into what this kit looks like and craft with it a little bit. Because I know that seeing all the products is good and all, but like using them and like seeing what they're all capable of doing is really great, even though this isn't what I'm gonna be doing in the class. Like we are gonna use all of this stuff, so clearly, you know, but we're using them in kind of different ways. So I like that you get different options to see things before you invest in them. So here we used a little bit of Later Gator, and then again, I'll go in with a little bit of 4 and just bring a little bit of that in too. Cool. I like this a lot. That looks great. All right, let's put these blending brushes away now. Hey, scrapbook.com. We were just talking about you with this wonderful kit. All right, check that out. So cool, such a beautiful blend, and I love that color combination that we were able to do as well. I think that is just gorgeous. So using the reds and the pinks and the purples all together and mixing them in with those greens to create such a beautiful look. And again, there's just so much texture on this embossing folder as well. I love it. So beautiful. And then to clean this mat off, I just go in with a little bit of water, spray it down, and then wipe off the mat super easily. And then I'll set this off to the side. Once the water evaporates, it gets really nice and sticky again. All right. So if you want to step this up even one more little step, you can go in and take the embossing folder and take one of the layers of the stencil. I'm gonna do the first layer that we did. Just lay that right over top of the design. And I'm gonna go in using a little bit of solar spray in that pity party color. So I like to use the solar spray in this instance because there's so much texture. I probably wouldn't use a paste here unless if I'm like lightly applying it with my finger, because a paste is gonna maybe seep underneath because there's so much texture there. Whereas this is just easy to spray on and not worry about it having to get into any of the grooves or anything like that. So before you use any solar spray, you wanna make sure you get this sludge, this mica sludge that's in here off the bottom of the surface. So to do that, you're just gonna wanna shake it up, get a nice workout in here and mix this up. I'm probably going right in the mic there. I'm so sorry about that. I'm gonna shake it over here. All right. And if your mixing thing isn't ever mixing, just hit it on your hand and that'll get the ball unstuck and mixing up in there. Then we're gonna go in and just lightly mist this right through that stencil, all over. And this is gonna give us such a beautiful look. So before we do anything, I'm just gonna clean off my work surface from all that spray before I show you the final result here. And then we'll wipe off this stencil. You want to be pretty gentle with this. Kind of just tap it because there is those little areas that it could get caught on. So just be gentle. Yay, Amy said she just bought the kit. She had it in her cart from the Tuesday Live, but this convinced her. Thanks, Amy. I think it's phenomenal kit. All the products that are inside of here, I'm super proud of. Like I said, they're all exclusive. So once they're gone, they're gone. So I think you're going to love this kit when you get your hands on it. So let's look at that. Check that out. Do you see that mica inside of there? It is just stunning and it gives that like pinkish shine. So it's really beautiful on top of there. And once it dries even further, you'll see it even more, but it's just gorgeous. I love that so much. It just gives a nice light sparkle on top of the color that's inside of there. All right. Now let's go in next and show you a little bit about these butterfly dies. So I love this butterfly die set. It's one of my favorite. It really coordinates along with the painted blooms super nicely because it has this kind of like painted layer on top of the butterflies. I was like, Spellbinders, we need to do butterflies for this kit. And they were like, we've done butterflies a million times, Simon. Like, what are we gonna do here? And so I had the idea to come up with a set that looks like it was painted, just like the flowers. So it really coordinates together super beautifully. So with this set, you get a shadow die. You also get kind of an inner normal layer of the butterfly, and then you get the most inside layer that gives that kind of painted detail. So let me go in here and cut these three out. And then I'm gonna also show you that lovely sentiment that says hello. And then you get this kind of inside body piece with the antenna that you're gonna use on both butterflies. So we'll just pull out all of these dies to cut them all out. And I'll show you what I do to cut these guys out with the colors. So I'm gonna bring back in my little Platinum Black Scout die cutting machine. I love this little guy. And then I'm gonna bring in, whenever I prep anything or do any die cutting, I use these Spellbinders craft stacks. These are amazing. I love them because they have little lids, so they're like perfect. And they stack, I think they come in like a pack of 5. I'll link them after the live, but they're really great for die cutting. So I've got all the colors that I already wanna use already in here and ready. This is Spellbinders Color Wheel cardstock. I usually have cut it down into little sheets like this, and then take out a ton of different colors. I love this cardstock because it's like thick. It's like 110 pound, which is very difficult to find in colored cardstock. So this is my favorite colored cardstock right now at the moment. And I cut it down to pieces that fit in my Scout really nicely. And then I'll cut it down even further if I need to do it a little bit more. So we'll put these right inside of the die cutting machine. I love this color with the kind of Kelly green, the lime green, and the yellow along inside of here. And for this one, we'll use the small butterfly. So for this, I like to do the darkest layer in that shadow. So I'll do the darkest layer in that most outside die. Then I'm gonna go in with the middle layer, and I'm going to cut it out of this kind of lime color. And then I'm gonna go in with the most painted layer, and I'm gonna cut that out of the lightest layer, so out of this yellow, and run this right through our Scout. So run this right through to cut it out super easily. Christopher Allen said this is the best card kit he's ever seen. I'm totally right. I agree, Christopher. Yep, I'll have links to the plastic container after the live, but it's called Spellbinders Craft Stacks. And I believe this is the smallest size of them. All right, so I'll just pop these guys out. So you get that most outside layer, then you get this middle layer, and then the painted layer to finish it off. And once I'm done die cutting anything, I always put it inside of these little containers, because then it keeps all the little pieces, especially if you've got something even smaller than these. It just keeps them there instead of flying all about my craft room, because things disappear in here very quickly and easily. So I like to keep them contained in the craft stacks. So then we'll go in next with the blue kind of tealish colors. They look weird on my camera. I swear they're not this green. They're like a light blue color. That's weird. But I'm gonna go in here and lay these down. And then again, for the outermost layer, we'll do the darkest. Then we'll do the middle layer for the middle die. And then the most painted layer, we'll do the lightest die. And run this right through. Perfect. And you'll notice I've already cut out the bodies and the sentiments and stacked those up. With the sentiment die, I love that we included a shadow there, so you can kind of add a shadow with whatever color cardstock you want, so that it really steps it up and separates it out from the background. I find shadow dies to be so important, because separating it from the background and making sure you can really see and read the sentiment is always helpful. So I like to always include a shadow whenever I can. All right, so we'll pop these pieces out, put them in my craft stacks. So you could totally adhere together these butterflies just as is, but you guys know, I can't resist myself. And so when I have dies like this, I need to add some shading to them and some depth and dimension. So for this guy, I'm gonna go in with a pool color. So I'll use a little bit of High Tide for this lightest one, and my little Altenew blending brush. And I'm just gonna go right in and blend, oh shoot. See guys, I'm not used to Stellar ink yet. Sometimes it surprises me. All right, we're getting a darker butterfly than we maybe would have wanted, but that's cool still. Light taps, really light taps into the Stellar ink. I'm used to the Simon Hurley ink where you'd have to like press down and rub on it to get a ton of ink out. And then I'll add a little bit of High Tide down to the blue in the middle. Awesome. And it just adds a lot of dimension. You'll see when we put these butterflies together, it makes them look really 3D. So doing a little bit of extra work to add the shading is gonna be really helpful for you. All right. Then let's wipe off this surface and let's do the green. So with the green, I'm gonna go in with, let's do Later Gator, but I'm gonna like really take the slightest bit and tap it all off, and then just put the slightest bit right into the center. That was maybe too much. All right, that's good. That looks good. And then we'll do a little bit of yellow with our yellow blending brush. And I'm just gonna use some excess ink that's on here. It's probably Shooting Star. And just add that right into the center. Perfect. That looks great. All right, now let's start adhering things together. You guys are gonna love these butterflies. They're so pretty. So we'll grab a little bit of our Barely Arts liquid glue. Let's put together this larger butterfly first. So I'm gonna go in with the Barely Arts liquid glue and go in and add some glue to the back. And then we'll pop this right up onto the butterfly. So you'll see that gives a nice shadow. I also like to cut out that really shadowed layer in like vellum or something like that to really give that nice shadow if you want to make it stand out from the background. And then I'm also going to go in with a little bit of glue, add it down to the back for this kind of inside painted piece. And then I'm going to place this right in the center. Oh my gosh, check that out. That little painted piece really makes this butterfly. It makes it so cute. I haven't seen any butterflies on the market like this, so I was so excited when the design team turned my idea back in. I turned in a little sketch and they brought it to life here, and that Spellbinders team does such an amazing job, like with coming up with the die set and really finalizing those designs with these beautiful images. I love it. That's amazing. So there is the larger butterfly. And the smaller one, let's do this green color. I'm obsessed with this green color combination with a little bit of green and yellow. I know the inking does make such a difference because it really makes it look like that center is kind of like further away, kind of folded in like a butterfly would be flying. Then we'll add this right down with that first die to get that kind of shadow behind it. And then we'll add down this painted layer. And especially this, I'm really glad you guys are here to see this, because if you were contemplating the kit like you guys were saying, this is a great way to really see these dies up close and really get to see what they actually do. Because the packaging is one thing, but really seeing them used is a ton of fun. I love that look. And then let's go in here and again add down that little body and antenna of the butterfly. Hold it in place so that the glue dries there. And then check that out. So here's what you get inside of that die set. You get both of these beautiful butterflies, and you get the hello and the shadow die. How fun is that? And you can do the shadow in white or black, or to match the project with whatever color you have. I love it. It's amazing. Okay, so let's put these cards together. For the butterflies, I'm going to do something unique, and I'm not going to just use what was in this kit. I want to show you different ways to use them because I used mainly what was in the kit in the actual class. So let me show you how to do a little blending here. So for a background, I'm going to go in with this oval die. This is from the Essential Layering Ovals, or Essential Stylish Ovals from Spellbinders. I love these guys. And then I'm going to go in with one of my stencils. This is the Deco Diamond stencil. And I love this Deco Diamond stencil so much. It's this really great kind of intricate 3D geometric design. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to go in here. This is one of my older stencils. So with the old stencil material, you need to just make sure to put the glossy side facing down towards any sort of sticky mat they're using. And that matte side should be facing up, not towards anything sticky, because that matte side will peel off. It has a little bit of a coating on it. You don't want that to peel off. So you just want to make sure to leave that upward as you're using your stencil. And then I'm just going to place this right down. Sorry, I had to cough, so I muted myself for a second there. I'm going to go in here, just place this down. And then to do my blending, I'm going to go in with, let's do a little bit of High Tide. And I'm going to go in here and just blend this color out. I love this new High Tide color. I'm going to tap off to the side just a little bit at the beginning to make sure that it's not going to be too dark. And then I'll go in right on the surface. I'm using my Simon Hurley medium ink blending brushes. I hope these come back in stock pretty soon. They're my favorite for blending, and they get really great around the surface. My favorite part about these guys is that you can really control the inking because the handle is at the top instead of being at the side like most of the blending brushes. So you can really control like how much pressure you apply, how light you make that color, and you really get all the control in the world as you're blending. So super important. That's why I love these guys. Awesome, I love that. And then I'm gonna go in and use a little bit of the Phoenix Feather paste, because I wanna show you just how that works. So someone in the chat asked if you can go back and rewatch SPCFest after the date. The answer is yes. It's gonna always be available on YouTube, so it's gonna live premiere on YouTube. I'll be in the chat as the classes are going on, answering questions along with all the other creators. And then you'll also have that class content forever, as long as it's up on YouTube. So you'll be able to keep coming up and rewatching it over and over along with this kit and get that inspiration if you need to. It's not just a one-time thing that you need to be there for that date. And again, there's links down below where you can check out all the info about SPCFest as well. So I'm gonna go in with this unicorn horn paste. I'm gonna go in, grab this out. So of course you get this 1 ounce jar. Now there's a lot in here. This is actually the jar that I used for my SPCFest class, and it still has quite a bit of paste, and I've used it for swatches that I showed you in the class, so there's really a lot of paste inside of here. And then I'm gonna go in and just take this on my finger, and I'm just gonna like tap it through the stencil. You could use it with like the paste tool set with a palette knife, but I wanna show you this quickly, and I want it to dry quickly. So if you want to do kind of a thin layer and let it dry really quickly through your project, I find that taking just a little bit on your finger and just tapping it through that stencil is the way to go. And you get tons of shimmer still, you still get a lot of glitter on the surface, but you're not gonna have to wait like an hour or two for it to dry, depending on your climate that you're in. I don't rub across the surface because that moves around the glitter. The tapping will give you the glitter in all the area and give you great coverage, and then it'll kind of keep adding glitter all over the place. All right, and then to just clean everything off, I just spray down a little bit of paper towel, I'll wipe off my finger, and honestly, it doesn't stay too glittery, which is great. And then we'll grab the stencil off before anything is nice and dry. Oh my gosh, that is looking gorgeous. I wish you guys could like be in the studio and see it along with me. Before we go in and show you that, I just wanna make sure everything's nice and clean from that glitter. So you wanna clean your tools off before you keep going. So I'm just gonna go in here and wipe this stencil off quickly so that all that glitter is off of the stencil. All right, and as long as you do that right away, you should be pretty good to go. All right. Now, let me just go in here, and like I said, Phoenix Feather and all these Astro Pastes, especially when applied thin like this, dry really quickly. But if you need to help at any time with drying the Astro or the Lunar or the Solar pastes, a little heat tool won't hurt it. Just make sure to keep the heat tool moving around on the surface, and that way it won't bubble the paste up or anything like that, but you'll get a much faster drying time here. All right. And it's already dry. And then, let me show you this. You ready? Ba-bam. That is amazing. You get that really great color, and honestly, it's clear, so you don't really see the glitter right away. And then once you tilt it in the light, you get that warm shine from the Phoenix Feather in the future. I love it. It is so gorgeous. I love that. And then Elizabeth in the chat just said, can we expect a unicorn color in the future? I can't tell you, but expect something in the future. If this one's warm, what does the next one have to be? So this is gonna be really great to apply on the surface though, but I love that you can just see the color through still, but then it still gives a shine. Like I said, with Frostbite, it's more of like an icy look that doesn't give you as much of an actual shine. So I love this so much. Okay, then let's go in and finish everything off. To finish this off, I'm gonna go in with one of the pre-cut and scored card panels from the Struck White card sampler pack. I'm gonna go in here and just fold that down right on the crease, and then you just have to go in with a little scoring tool and go in and crease that down super easily. But I love these pre-cut and scored card bases because it just saves me a ton of time and cutting when you're crafting. And then we're gonna go in here and apply this right down onto our card. So let's go in with a little bit of liquid adhesive to add this down. I'm gonna add this front and center onto our card project. Love that. And then we're gonna go in here with our butterflies, and I'm gonna add these little guys down. So I'm gonna add these butterflies right down onto this project. I think this background is just gorgeous for these guys. Turned out really cool. I love that. And then we'll go in, let's see, what do you guys think? I think I'm into the sentiment on white. I think black is too stark there. I think we need this. So let's go in with these guys. So we'll go in with a little bit more liquid glue. Do I have foam tape here? No, I don't know where my foam tape went. Classic me, losing things always, but I'm gonna just go in with a little bit of liquid glue, add these guys down. So I like to use these grid lines on my surface. If you have a little grid mat at home, you know those are perfect for just helping line things up. So I'm gonna line that right up. And then we'll go in, add this guy down. We'll make him flying in this direction. And then we'll add this little butterfly guy down right in the other direction, flying on the card. I love it. So there is our first card. I love how that turned out with the butterflies, using a little bit of that high tide in the background, along with the phoenix feather paste right on top to give you all of that intense and beautiful shine. Check that out. And using that thin layer with just your finger on top of the ink gives you so much glitter and sparkle. And then using those butterflies on top, like I said, you can use those butterflies really anywhere. They are like the perfect size. They're not too big and not too small. And same thing with the hello, works perfectly with those butterflies. I love it. Okay. Then, guys, did I say something? I think I said something I wasn't supposed to. Everyone ignore that. Pretend like I didn't say it. But it'll come out in a couple months anyways. Okay, then let's go in and finish off the next card. So for this, again, I'm gonna go in with one of the side folding card bases. Again, going to fold this down, and then I'm going to score it into place. So like I said, that just saves me so much time having those already pre-cut and scored. Then with this background, I'm going to go in and chop this down. So there's like an edge on here that is kind of flat. So I'm just gonna go in here and trim this down. And then we'll go in and let's add this up on some foam tape, I think. Oh, there it is. There's my foam tape. Yeah, everyone's in the chat saying we heard nothing. Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll go in and we'll go in with our Fiskars Spring Assist scissors. And then, you know, I'm gonna add the foam tape to the card base just because I don't know how much of this background is gonna stay. We'll trim that down and add the foam tape down. And let's add one more strip, kind of right over here. Perfect. And then let's just put a little bit more throughout. All right, then we'll peel off the backer. And this is just fun and simple. I love these florals. It just creates like the perfect garden. If you want to add some like colored cardstock on this side, you totally can. But I'm going to add down this right onto the cardstock. And then we'll go in and there's a little bit on the top and bottom because this is a little bit bigger. So I'm gonna go in, and you could also use that for a 5x7 card then, but I'm just gonna go in and chop off the excess from the background. Really easily. So that's perfect. And then we'll finish this off with our sentiment. And I'm gonna go in with the black on white. It's gonna look really great here. Super stunning with that stark contrast. And let's add that up on a little bit of foam tape as well. So we'll just go in with a little piece of foam. Chop it up. Then we'll go right in and add this down. Yeah, you've never seen a foam tape backing peel this easy. This is the Altenew foam tape. I have been in love with the Altenew foam tape. It's been, yeah, because it's really easy to cut and it's really easy to peel the backer off of, which I am in love with. Sometimes that is difficult, as you guys know, from some foam tapes, so this one is really great. All right, so there is that little hello sentiment, the perfect size for any card, and I love hello. We were thinking about what would be the most versatile sentiment for you guys, and hello is just great because I feel like I need to send that to anyone that I'm just checking in on, or you can kind of write a thank you on the inside, or you can write anything, but hello is just great if you haven't talked to the person in a little while and you're just checking in. So there is 2 cards made with my SPCFest kit. I hope you guys really enjoyed seeing them, and of course seeing all the mediums in action. So you have that pity party spray to give that subtle shine on the flowers. You have that phoenix feather to give that really great warm glow, iridescent, see-through color on top of any inks. And then using the embossing folder with those gorgeous florals and the butterflies together, they create such fun and really elegant cards. So once again, if you guys want to get this kit, it is usually $61. It's on sale. Scrapbook.com gives you an amazing value. So right now it is $39.99. Cannot beat that price for all of the products that come inside of here. Again, pretty much everything is exclusive, I think, except for the Tickled, except for the Pity Party and the Slippery When Wet products that are inside of there, but you get that amazing Phoenix Feather that's brand new, and the embossing folder, stencil, and die set, brand new, exclusive, only available in this kit, which is amazing. I know, it does feel like a pre-SPCFest party. It was so much fun crafting with you guys tonight and showing you a look into my kit. And again, this is just a couple things you could do with it, but I'm gonna show you even more techniques to step it up and bring lots of different techniques with your products to life during SPCFest. So I hope to see you guys there. Like I said, even if you don't purchase the kit, SPCFest is completely free to just participate and watch. So you'll still get tons of content all day of crafting in September. So click the links down below to sign up for SPCFest for free. And then again, click more links down there. You can find the kit, you can find the Stark White Cardstock sampler, you can find the Tickled Pink paste. Like I said, that only has like 100 left in stock. So definitely grab that while you still can, while those 100 are left over. All right. Thank you guys again so much. One more thing, use the coupon code SNOW. I think it's available for the next couple of hours. I'm not sure how long, but use the code SNOW on top of everything for an extra 11% off your entire order at scrapbook.com. So now is the time. If you want this kit, now is the time. You get that amazing price value, but then you also can add coupon code SNOW on top of it. And that SNOW coupon code is value for your entire order. So you can add whatever you want inside of there. Get yourself some stellar inks, pile it up with some solar sprays, who knows. Just have fun shopping. I hope you guys had a wonderful time crafting along with me tonight, and I'll see you very soon for another card making and crafting video. Have a great night, guys. Bye, everyone.